Hi and welcome to my channel, JaberTime. Today I'm going to go over the equation of a line, the slope-intercept form, the point-slope form, and the parallel lines, perpendicular lines, graphs with examples. Here's the first example. The equation of the line shown is 2/3 x minus 4. mx plus b, in this case, we have the slope, we have the y-intercept. How is that? Looking at the graph, it crosses the y-axis at -4. That's my b from the previous video, which is -4. As coordinates, it's 0, -4. The y-intercept is -4. The slope is 2/3. If you take this point and this point, I could see that I'm rising to +2, running 3, +3. So the slope is 2/3. Of course, you could use the slope or find the slope in a different way by going maybe from the y-intercept up to this point. Look, up to right 3, that's still 2/3. If you go all the way from here to here, that's going to be up 4, right 6, 4/6 simplifies to 2/3. Anyway you look at it, the slope is 2/3. And we're done with this problem. Here's another example. The y-intercept at -5. The slope, which is rise over run to reach to this point, is 4/3. That's how we read the slope, rise over run. And the equation is 4/3 x minus 5. Now, using the form, the point slope form, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, giving the slope m and giving the point x1 y1. Here's an example. Find the equation of the line with the slope m equals -1/3 and contains the point 6, -4. That's gonna act like my x1 y1 in the equation, and that is my m, or slope. And they want me to write the answer in slope intercept form. I have everything here to save you some time, and I wanna make or do my best to make the video less than 30 minutes, because I think 30 minutes is a lot for this topic. Anything less than 30 minutes will do. Alright, so here we go. We have y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. For the slope, I'm going to write -1/3. I was giving the slope. Instead of x1, I'm going to write 6. Instead of y1, I'm going to write -4. Just be careful with the -4, and I have subtract before. Now this simplifies to +4. Y plus 4 equals, applying the distributive here, as you could see, I have -1/3 times x and -1/3 times -6. Which is positive, negative times negative. 6/3, 1/3 times 6 is 6/3, which simplifies to +2. To solve for y, because they want me to write it in y equals mx plus b, I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides and leave y alone. This cancels. 2 minus 4 is -2, and this will go down, and that should do it. Y equals -1/3 x minus 2. So the whole idea right here is you're giving the slope. All what we're doing is finding b. Either point will do if I have 2 points. Sometimes they give you 2 points, and we're going to see that in an example. Actually, it's a coming example. Here's the example. Now you're giving 2 points. In the previous example, it was a point and a slope. Here, you have 2 points. Well, I don't have the slope yet. To find the slope, I'm just going to follow the formula, which is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. My advice to you is write the points lined up this way to avoid making a mistake with the negative sign. Not only that, I've seen it sometimes. Students, they kind of like when they go back and forth, they mix the x's with the y's. Instead of subtracting y2 minus y1, they end up subtracting y2 minus, let's say, x1. So here we go. It doesn't matter which one also you call x1, y1 and which one you call x2, y2. One of them is going to be called x1, y1. I picked on this point. The other one will be called x2, y2. So y2 minus y1 will be -2 minus -1. You see, it's easier to read it this way. -2 or -2 subtract -1. It's right there. Reading x2 minus x1 from the points, it's 2 minus -3, and it's right there. Be careful with the minus signs. Simplify, you end up with -1/5. Now it becomes like the previous problem or example, except we had to do this extra work to find the slope. Now to find b, either point will do. You could use this point, you could use this point. I'm going to pick the first one. It doesn't matter, you could double check yourself and you're going to end up with the same answer for b. So I'm using the first point as if I'm calling it x1, y1, the first point. For y1, it's -1. It's right there. For x1, it's -3, and it's right there. We know the slope that we found, which is -1/5. I'm gonna write it for the slope. So I have y minus -1, which changes to y plus 1. And I have distributive property here to apply. Of course, this changes to plus. I have -1/5 x right there. I have -1/5 times 3, which is -3/5. To solve for y and leave y alone, because that's what we want, the slope-intercept form says y equal. So y has to be by itself. Subtract 1 from both sides, and I get this cancels, and this will be -1/5 x minus 1/3 minus 1. You could write -1 as -5/5. So have the common denominator and you combine them. So -3/5 minus 1, that's -3/5 minus 5/5, which is -8/5. That's my y-intercept, and we're done. One more time, you could practice, double check, and use the -2 instead. You're going to end up with the same answer, the same y-intercept, because we're dealing with the same line. It's going to end up the same y-intercept. Find the equation of the line that is parallel to this graphed line. And it's also given to me that it passes through the point. Which point? This point. You see it? Now, to do that, because it's parallel lines, they will have the same slope. I have the slope here as 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1, 2. That's 4/2. Or you could use the slope from this point and this point, going up 2/1. Either way, you're going to end up with 2. 4/2, 2/1, which is 2. So you copy that. I did not write it here as a 2 because I need to copy the rise and run. Both of them, I need them with me to copy it here. Look, this point is given to me, but the line is parallel to this line, so it has to have the same ratio of rise and run, or what's called slope. So I'm going to go up 2/1, mark this point, and connect them. And that's how we do it. And this is a graph. Okay, all what you need to do is just read the slope, copy it here, and connect, and you're done. Since they say find the equation, they want the equation. So here's the equation: y equals 2/1x plus b, -2 for x, 1 for y, because that's the point given to me, which is right here, -2, 1. You put 1 for y, -2 for x, -2 times 2/1, which is -4. Add 4 to both sides to solve for b. This cancels, and this is 1 plus 4, which is 5. So the y-intercept is 5, and the graph is actually going through 5. to confirm that, which is y equals 2x plus 5. Now let's go over the same graph, but instead of parallel, perpendicular. I have the graph right here, and we're going through the same point, negative 2, 1. But since we're going to go perpendicular, first let's copy the slope from here and see what's the slope actually, not copy. The slope is 2 over 1 from the previous example, 2 over 1. So if the line here has a slope of 2 over 1, my slope for the perpendicular line will be opposite reciprocal, which is minus 1 over 2. So when you take the reciprocal of 2 over 1 will be 1 over 2. Since I want the opposite, I need to show the minus sign. So let's apply the negative 1/2 as a slope given a point starting from this point. We're going to go down 1, that's my rise, negative 1, over 2. And it looks like it's going to go through the origin. We're going to connect them. Notice the way the triangles look like. So this is something to know. I don't want to go more in detail and give you like concepts or confuse you, but just pay attention that the slopes are not the same, but we're looking at the same type of triangles, but sitting in a different way. Now I could write the equation for this line done, which is y equals mx plus b, and m is negative half and b is 0, so I'm not going to write 0, and the answer should be y equals negative 1 over 2 times x, and that should do it. But let's go over more detail because this is like a lecture notes. Y equals mx plus b. I have the slope that we agreed on, that we took it from looking at the first one as negative 1/2 x. Assuming that we want to find b, because sometimes you don't have a graph, so you want to do the algebra and finish it. To do that, I'm going to use the point that was given to me, which is negative 2, 1. This point right here, negative 2, 1. So take negative 2 for x, take 1 for y. Simplify this, negative half times negative 2, which is positive, 2 over 2, which is positive 1. To solve for b, I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. So b is 0, which confirms what I just mentioned earlier, that y equals negative half x. Now we're going to talk about vertical and horizontal line as perpendicular, as an example. So I'm giving this line right here, which is vertical, and they want me to find the equation that is perpendicular to it. That goes through this point, 3, negative 2. Well, we know that this has a slope of undefined, and it's kind of hard to look at it and take the opposite reciprocal. So this is like a special case one that you don't have to do that. You just go on with the concepts of what is vertical and what is perpendicular to it, and so on. So to make the story short, here's the answer. A horizontal line and a vertical line are perpendicular. That's how it works, like the x-axis and the y-axis. So if you're going through this point, negative 3 and negative 2, right there. If you're going through this point, all what you need to do is make the line right here, not up or down below, and connect it to go through the vertical line as a horizontal line, and that should do it. Now if you want the slope for this, the slope for this is undefined, the slope for this is 0, and that's the vertical and horizontal lines. If you want the equations, the equation for the vertical line is x equals 5, and the equation for the horizontal line, which is perpendicular to it, is y equals negative 2, and that should do it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to see some more, and I'll see you in the next one.